Hello everyone, I'm here today to give you a tutorial on how to DIY a Stitchyhug hook that also acts as a floss trap. As you can see, you could take these directly from where you store your floss and put them directly on a floss ring for kitting up your project. And once your project is complete, they're easy to put right back into storage. All right, let's get started. You are going to need a 1-inch corner rounding punch. I like this type of punch because they work a little bit better with sturdy materials like this. You are going to need a 1-inch oval punch. This one is Punch Bunch. This one I believe is EK Tools. This one does not have a brand that I'm aware of, but it is a regular, not a regular, it is a hole punch. It is a little bit bigger than your average hole punch because what I've found is that if you use a regular hole punch, they don't like to go over this portion of your floss ring very easily. But as you can see, if you use this size, it slides over nicely. No catching. So this hole punch gives you a 5/16 inch or an 8mm hole. All right, what I'm using is 50-point chipboard. It is a heavyweight chipboard. You don't have to use something quite so heavy. This is hard to punch through. You'll have to use your muscles. But if you use something lighter weight like cereal boxes or whatever you have, then they just might end up being a little bit flimsier. They might bend a little bit easier. So these ones, they have some flex to them, but they're fairly sturdy. They'll last a little bit longer. But if you use something lighter weight and it doesn't last super long, you can just recycle them and pull out another cereal box and make another one. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's gonna be fine. Okay, so my 8.5 by 11-inch sheet of chipboard, I have, as you can see, I've used my ruler to grid it off into sections. It's 4 this way and 5 this way. You can play with these and come up with a size that you like. This is how big I like them to be. Experiment, find out whatever works for you. But if you want to do it like this, you can, each of the length between here is 2 3/4 inches or 7 centimeters. And the width between here is 4.3 centimeters, or, you know what, I can't even pronounce the inch part, so I'm just going to pop it up in writing on the screen for you. Okay, so once you have that gridded off, you cut them apart into little pieces like this. And from here, what you're going to do is you're going to round the corners first. So the reason why I like the corners rounded is that I've found that if you have sharp corners on your floss straps, they tend to catch on each other. So my preference is to round the corners. Again, do what makes you happy. Sometimes your punch might get a little bit stuck. Basically flip it over, clean it out. You might have to, sometimes if it's stuck, this has been pushed into the locking position. So, little tips. All right. If you get a corner that's not quite as nicely rounded as you like, just flip it over and go through again. So once you have your piece rounded, you need to figure out the rest of the cutout points. And to do that for your first one, punch out an oval shape. And the first spot you're going to try to figure out is the bottom hole. And so usually what I do is try to get it equal distance from the sides and a similar distance from the bottom. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to get out a measuring. You can eyeball this. I trust you, you can. So once you kind of have it in the spot that you want, just kind of trace around it with a pencil. And you have your starting point. Then I flip it around to the side, and you gotta figure out the next part. You need to figure out where you want this hole. And so you want a little bit of meat between here and a little bit of meat here. So you're gonna eyeball it. I kind of tend to put it closer to this edge to give a little bit more room for the hole at the top corner. So that looks okay. You can make a couple and experiment with the placing of everything and figure out what works best for you. And then just kind of eyeball the center between this point and put a little dot, and that will be where you aim for your hole punch. So you'll be able to see your pencil lines a little bit through the hole. You got to use your muscles with this one. If your punch gets stuck and it's not locked in, you push it like that. Okay, so now that you have, oh, let's do the corner too. I don't know if you can see that dot in there, but I just kind of centered on the dot that I made, and like that. Okay, so now you got to figure out this part. It might seem tricky, but it's not. So all I did was I kind of, from the bottom part of the oval here, I just kind of rounded it off and down a little bit. And then I kind of did a little swoop here like this. This part here, you just need to make sure that it will fit over your dowel, and if your dowel will be hanging them like that. So you just need to make sure that it comes on and off of your dowel really easily without catching. My dowel is, oh, somebody's on top of my instructions. My dowel is a 3/8 inch dowel, I think. Okay, so once I do that, I cut out this portion and then kind of do a little swoop here. And there you go. Easy peasy. Once you get a version that you like, the placement of everything on it, then you can, instead of doing that whole process every time, what you can do is you can take the one you like and you can just trace it quickly to kind of give you an idea of where you need to aim your punches. And yeah, then you'll end up with kind of relatively consistent hooks. Okay, so pretty easy. They will take a few muscles to do, so I don't recommend doing a lot of them each day. Your hands will get tired. So just do a few at a time, especially if you're using a heavyweight cardstock. Once you have them all made, or have some made, if you want to load and unload them. Unloading them is really easy, quick. You just pull it off. To put it back on, you just kind of drape it over that middle part and you push, pull it through the center. And I have all my strands cut, or these ones aren't yet, but usually I cut all the strands so that I can pull out a single thread as I'm stitching. So I hope you learned something interesting today. I hope you have fun making them if you give them a try. And yeah, happy stitching. Bye.